Hello children, all are doing well. Today we are going to start with the second lesson, Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood by Anis Jung. She is an Indian author. The title itself suggests that there are stories of small children whose childhood has been stolen. Lost spring. See, spring is considered to be the best season when everything around us is blooming. The same way in our lives, childhood is the phase where we bloom, where we grow the best, right? So if that period is not properly bloom, or we are not given the opportunity to grow properly, then we can say that our childhood has been stolen from us. So our spring season has been lost. Here, the author has depicted the stories of street children who are deprived of their childhood, not childhood, but the happiness of their childhood. They are not allowed to enjoy their childhood, deprived of schooling, good facilities, good home, good food. They have to work with their parents. They have to actually work hard, do the labor work with their parents. So it is quite disappointing to know that such children are there around us. Uh, we should really feel blessed that at least our childhood has been an amazing one. We are never deprived of such things. You must have observed so many children around you, like the children of sweeper or servant who accompany their parents. They come with their parents when their parents are doing work. They roam about, and if we give them a chocolate or a toy or anything, they feel so happy. They are so contented. They are quite innocent. They don't understand the thing like we shouldn't take such things. But when we give them, they are happy to receive it. They never say no, and they accept it wholeheartedly, and they always have a lot of pleasure in getting things, right? Like surprisingly they get the things and they enjoy it. So let us see what happens in the story also. It is about the street children. uh, Two stories are there. One is about Shahib Alam and the other is Mukesh. I think today we will be able to finish only one story. There are this lesson is divided in two parts. Today we will try to cover or finish the first part. First, let me show you the picture of the author Anis Jung. I think you all can see this picture. She is Anis Jung. Then I'll show you the PDF of lesson Stolen Childhood. About the author Anis Jung, 1964, was born in Rourkela and spent her childhood and adolescence in Hyderabad. She received her education in Hyderabad and in the United States of America. Her parents were both writers. Anis Jung began her career as a writer in India. She has been an editor and columnist for major newspapers in India and abroad and has authored several books. The following is an excerpt from her book titled Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood. Here she analyzes the grinding poverty and traditions which condemn these children to a life of exploitation. See, in introduction, it is clearly written that this story or this lesson, in this lesson, she analyzes the theme. Her theme is about grinding poverty and how the traditions that condemn poor children to a life of exploitation. This idiomatic phrases, I'll give you the meanings as and when they come in the chapter. We will start with the lesson itself. Our first story is Sometimes I Find a Rupee in the Garbage. This is the title of the first story. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Why do you do this? I ask Sahib, whom I encounter every morning scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. Now, here the narrator is asking Sahib, narrator or author, she is asking Sahib, who is a young boy. Now, every day she meets this boy, see, whom I encounter. Encounter means I come across. I meet that boy every morning scrounging for gold. Scrounging means looking for or searching for gold in the garbage. Now, gold doesn't mean actually gold, but it means anything valuable that is thrown away in the garbage. We know many people throw away the things which is of no longer of the use, right? So they throw away, but it may be used to those people like Sahib who are scrounging or looking for something from the garbage. They may sell the thing and earn money. So he was also looking for gold, means any valuable thing in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. So when the author met Sahib, she asked him that why are you doing this thing? Why are you looking for such things in garbage dumps? Then the author is telling us something about Sahib. Sahib left his home long ago. Long ago means quite long, so many years ago. Sahib and his family has come here. They are not from this place. They don't belong to this place. Set amidst the green fields of Dhaka. Set amidst. Amidst means they lived in Dhaka in the middle of green fields, right? Means among the green fields of Dhaka. His home is not even a distant memory. Distant means far away memory. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him. Now Sahib knows, or maybe his mother tells him that they also had their own home in Dhaka, but due to heavy storms, their fields and homes were destroyed, and that is why they had nothing to earn. Their home was also destroyed, so they came here and started living here. They settled down here. That's why they left their home, their hometown, Dhaka, and they came here. Looking for means searching or try to discovering for gold in the big city where he lives now. They are living in a big city. It is not yet mentioned, it will come later on. They are living in Simapuri, Delhi, which is in the outskirts of Delhi. Now from Dhaka they migrated here and they came to Simapuri, which is in the outskirts of Delhi. They came here looking for gold in the big city. Now, looking for gold means trying to search for money, to earn money in big city where now he is living. I have nothing else to do. See, now the reply is given by Sahib when the author asked, why are you doing this? Why are you searching in this garbage? So he said that I have nothing else to do. He mutters. Mutters means say it slowly, looking away. He is ashamed of giving explanation maybe. So he looked away. He didn't look into her eyes. He was looking away and said that I have nothing else to do. What can I do else? So see the reply. Author said, why don't you go to school? Go to school. I said glibly. Glibly means convincingly. Why don't you go to school? Then she realized, realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound. Now, after a while, she realized that I shouldn't have said this. This poor children, they don't afford to go to school. Even if they go to government schools, still they don't afford, because the time which is given in school, instead of that they want to spend that time in earning money. That is why they don't go to school, or maybe their parents don't send them to school. After a while she realized that whatever she said was not a good advice for such children, right? Now see the reply given by Sahib. He said, there is no school in my neighborhood. He said that how can I go to school? There is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I'll go. I want to go, but there is no school in nearby area, so I'm not going. The author said, if I start a school, will you come? Now this was something she just asked. She was not actually no said intentionally, but she just asked that if I start a school, are you ready to come? See, I asked half joking. Half joking means she was not serious while saying this, but the boy was quite serious. He said yes. He says, smiling broadly. A few days later, I see him running up to me. After few days, he came running to the author and said, is your school ready? See, now the boy was actually waiting for the school to get ready. He was ready to go to school if it was nearby. It takes longer to build a school, I say. Now the author was embarrassed, right? That I shouldn't have promised him falsely. She made a false promise. So now she realized that I say embarrassed. Embarrassed here means ashamed at having made a promise that was not meant. She was not quite serious while making a promise that I will start a school. She just said it casually, but now she realized that she shouldn't have made such fake promise. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. Bleak means dull and cheerless world. His world is not so bright and happening. Every now and then, they are promised by people for something or the other thing, and then people break their promises. So they are used to with this situation. They don't feel bad about it. After months of knowing him, I ask him his name. See, after months of knowing him, for so many months, the author used to talk to him. She used to have a chat, a small chat with him, but never asked his name. But one day she asked him his name. And what is his name? Sahibe Alam. His name is Sahibe Alam. He announces, see, he's so proud to say his name. He does not know what it means. Poor boy, he doesn't know what does that mean. Sahibe Alam means, if he knew its meaning is Lord of Universe. Sahib Alam ka meaning hota hai Lord of Universe. And this boy was not at all the Lord of Universe. In fact, he was uh, he was a very poor child, right? Not at all a Lord. तो he would have a hard time believing it. अगर उसको हम बता दें कि तेरे नाम का मतलब क्या होता है, तो poor fellow, he would feel so bad about it that he won't be able to believe this truth. Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends. He doesn't know the meaning of his name, but all the day long he roams the streets here and there with his friends. An army of barefoot boys. It is like an huge army of barefoot. Barefoot means the boys are not wearing any kind of slippers or chappals. Shoes are out of their dreams, right? But this army of barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. This army, they appear like morning birds. They are seen around only in the morning time and they disappear at noon. God knows where they disappear, but they are never seen after noon time. Over the months, I have come to recognize each of them. Over the months, after knowing them for few months, now the author was able to recognize each of them, that what by name also, that this boy is Sahib Alam, this one is the other one, like that. Why aren't you wearing chappals? I asked one. One day, she gathered the courage and asked the one of the boy that why are you not wearing chappals? See these boys here. You can see in the picture that they are roaming here and there in the streets. They are not wearing any chappals and they are so happily roaming about, right? But author was quite surprised that why you are not wearing chappals. So one boy answered, my mother did not bring them down from the shelf. See, the mother has kept the chappals on the shelf. Uh, Generally, we keep the precious or the valuable things in. Now, we don't keep such things like shoes on the shelf, right? But these poor people, because shoes is also a valuable thing for them, his mother had kept it on the shelf. Now, even if she did, he will throw them off, adds another. Now, the other boy who was with the first one, there was a whole gang. So the other was making fun of him that even if his mother will bring them down, he is not going to wear. He will throw it off. He adds this, who was wearing shoes that do not match. Now that boy who was making fun, he was wearing shoes and that pair was not matching. He was wearing different shoes in both the legs, right? When I comment on it, the author commented that why you are wearing different shoes in both the legs, right? They both do not match. So he shuffles his feet. Shuffles means moves with a dragging motion. He was dragging his leg on the floor, right? Feet ऐसे drag कर रहा था. He shuffles his feet and says nothing. And now what the third one says? I want shoes. The third one, वहाँ पे बहुत सारी gang थी, as I told you, बहुत सारे बच्चे साथ में. The third one said, I want shoes. And he had never owned a pair all his life. In all his life, he had never got a pair of shoes. He was never able to buy a pair of shoes. So he said that I wanted it. Nobody had ever gave him. Traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot in cities on village roads. Now, this Anis Jung, our author, she has traveled across the country and she says that I have seen children walking barefoot in cities on village roads. Whether it is city or village, everywhere I have seen children, they are walking barefoot. Particularly children of poor people, right? Street children. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. One explanation which I can give is that it is not only the lack of money that they cannot buy, but it is a kind of tradition for them to walk barefoot. Is the only one explanation that she can understand, right? I wonder if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. Now she says that it may be an excuse because they cannot come out of this state of poverty. These poor people, even if they work hard, it is very difficult for them to come out of this poverty suddenly, right? Or for long years, if they keep on working very hard, then they will be able to at least live a comparatively better life, but not a luxurious life. So this was just an excuse. A perpetual state means endless. Perpetual means something which is never going to end, everlasting. Everlasting state of poverty. They cannot come out of this poverty. Now she is trying to remember a story which was once told to her by a man from Udupi. See, I remember a story a man from Udupi once told me. Udupi is a city in South India, Southwest India. She must have traveled there, and a man from there, Udupi, told her this story that as a young boy he would go to school past an old temple. This man, the man from Udupi who told the story, he said that when he was a young boy, a small boy, he used to go to school and there was an old temple on the way to school where his father was a priest. That boy's father was a priest in the temple. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. That young boy, because his father was a priest, they were very poor. They couldn't afford to buy a pair of shoes. So he used to go to the temple, pray to God to at least give him a pair of shoes. Now 30 years later, I visited his town and the temple. Again, after 30 years, when this author visited that place, particular place, Udupi, and the temple, which was now drowned in the air of desolation. Drowned means which was now engulfed or submerged in the air of desolation, means that place was empty. Empty doesn't mean, but lonely. Nobody was there. Everything was like remoteless. So that place was now quite different, drowned in the air of desolation, and in the backyard where lived the new priest. Now that after 30 years, that old priest was no longer living there, some new priest was there, and there were red and white plastic chairs. The scenario was now quite changed. There were chairs. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived panting and threw his school bag on a folding bed. Now there a young boy came in a school uniform. He was also wearing shoes and socks, and he arrived panting, breathlessly. He came running, so he was breathing fast, and he threw his bag on a folding bed. Now, looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Let me never lose them. The goddess had granted his prayer. Now this author remembers the boy 30 years back जिसने prayer की थी कि please give me a pair of shoes. After 30 years at least the scenario has changed. अभी के जो priest है, the priest after 30 years who is serving in the temple, उसके बेटे के पास now he is having a pair of shoes, he is going to school and they are living at least a better life compared to the man who told the story. Understood? 30 years पहले जो man ने story बताई थी, he was not having a pair of shoes. He had prayed God to give him. But after 30 years शायद उसकी prayer ये दूसरे priest के बेटे के साथ fulfill हुई है, right? वो जो दूसरा priest है उसके बेटे के पास shoes है. Now, young boys like the son of the priest now wore shoes. At least जो priest के बेटे है, the son of the priest जो है उसके पास shoes है, and the young boys like such they have shoes now. But many others like rag pickers in my neighborhood remain shoeless. She is trying to compare the children of priest have now improved, means improved in the sense their life has now improved a bit better, but still the rag pickers who are living in the neighborhood, they are still shoeless. They remain shoeless, means they are still not wearing chappals or shoes. They are still living the same life. My acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads to me to Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it, metaphorically. Now, my acquaintance means familiarity. The author was quite familiar with the gang of rag pickers, right? Sahib and his friends. So, her acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads her to Simapuri. Now, see, here the place is mentioned where they are living. Those rag pickers are living in Simapuri. So the writer now reached there, a place on the periphery of Delhi. Periphery means border, outskirts, outer edge of Delhi, yet miles away from it, metaphorically, symbolically. Means although Simapuri is a part of Delhi, but still it is not, it is miles away from it. Symbolically we can say it is not at all connected to Delhi, although being a part of it, it is very, very different. No one can say that Simapuri is in Delhi. Those who live here are squatters. Squatters means people who are living on land without permission. They are living here, but they are not having any permission from government, and they are not giving any rent also. So these people are called squatters. Those who live here are squatters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. They all came here in Simapuri in 1971. Sahib's family is among them. Sahib-e-Alam and his family is also among those families. Simapuri was then a wilderness. Wilderness means desolated. Nobody used to live there, a desolated place. It still is. Still it is like that. Nobody visits there. Only those rag pickers are living there. But it is no longer empty. Now it is full. Means there are so many families of rag pickers who are living there, who have come from Bangladesh. But earlier, before 1971, this place was desolated. In structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin devoid of sewage, drainage or running water lived 10,000 rag pickers. Now see, their houses are made up of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, that is a large sheet made up of heavy waterproof material, and their houses are devoid of, that is without sewage or drainage or running water. They don't have any kind of facilities of running water or drainage system. Nothing is there, but still there lives 10,000 rag pickers. 10,000 rag pickers are still living there without any kind of facilities. They have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity. See, they are living here for 30 years without any identity, without permits. Nobody has given them permission to live here, but with ration cards. See, this is a game played by politicians, that they have provided them with ration cards that get their names on voters list and enable them to buy grain. Now, just because politicians have given them ration card and their name is there on the voters list, so they can vote for the particular political party, and they can even buy food with the help of ration cards. So, food is more important for survival than an identity. For this people, food is more important. They don't want any identity. They don't want to be called as an Indian, even if they are not called as Indian, it is fine. At least they have their ration card and they are getting grain from the store. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. See what is their mentality. This answer is given by a group of women in tattered saris. Tattered means torn saris. When I asked them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers, author asked this few women who were sitting in a group. She asked, why you left your home in Dhaka? Why you came here? You have a beautiful land there, right? Fields, green fields are there, rivers are there. Why you left your home, your own place, and came here to live such kind of life? So they said that if at the end of the day we can feed our families, that is more important for us. Food is more important. If we are able to feed our families and go to bed without uh, aching stomach means empty stomach, at least our stomachs are full, so that is more important, because at our place we are not getting grains. Our fields are no longer giving grains because of that heavy storm and all that. They have their fields and houses are destroyed. So they say that this place is for them like a boon. Now, wherever they find food, they pitch their tents. That become transit homes. Wherever they can find food, they will make their home at that place, that transit home. Children grow up in them. Children grow up in such houses and becoming partners in survival. They also become their partners in survival to live. They also work very hard, and survival in Simapuri means rag picking. If children want to survive, if anyone wants to survive in Simapuri, it means that they have to learn rag picking. That is the only means to survive. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. Like through the years, these children learn this art of rag picking. It is a kind of art. Garbage to them is gold. For them, garbage is like gold. Earlier also I told you, gold doesn't mean actual gold, but something that they can get from gold, something that they can earn from. Sometimes they get coins, sometimes they get 10 rupee note, 1 rupee note, or whatever, anything, whatever they get from garbage, it is like gold for them. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads. See, a roof over their head means a place to live. That is the only place where their house is. Even if it is a leaking roof, but for a child, it is even more. See, even their roofs are leaking, but still at least they have a roof. So they are saying that this place is very, very dear to them. It is giving them food, it is giving them roof, and for a child it is even more. What is more, this gold garbage is very important for a child, because they are getting so much from the garbage, not only food and all that. Sometimes they get toys, broken toys, still they play with them. Anything they find from garbage, they use it, they make maximum use of it, and for children it is more than gold. Now see, this is the map of Delhi, and you can see here that Simapuri is located at the boundary line of Delhi. See, at the border, right? I hope you all can see this, how it is located at the border. And I'll also show you the picture of Dhaka, which is in Bangladesh. If you can see, the map of India is there, and in the red part Bangladesh is there. Dhaka is shown with the arrow. Coming back to the lesson, I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note, Sahib says, his eyes lightening up. Now Sahib was happy that sometimes he finds a rupee or sometimes a 10 rupee note also. His eyes were lightening when he was saying this, shining, right? When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging, for there is a hope of finding more. See, if you find a silver coin, once you find a silver coin, then you will try to find something more valuable then, and every time you will go and search in that garbage heap. So this is the thing. Once if Sahib has found a rupee note or a 10 rupee note, then every time he would go there and search that in a just in a hope that next time he would get a 50 rupee or a 100 rupee note also next time, right? Because every time he had a hope that he would find something more. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it seems to their parents. This is important. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. For parents, this is a means of survival, right? But for children, it is a something of wonder, something that is wrapped in wonder. Every time they find something new and that excites them, right? For children, it is wrapped in wonder, and for the elders, it is a means of survival. Every time children find something new from the garbage heap, and they are surprised at those things, they are wondered at those things, so as if they are getting some gift, right? They feel so happy that they surprise gifts are getting them. And for elders, grown-ups, it is a means of survival. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. Now, one winter morning, the author saw Sahib. He was standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club. Club की जो gate होती है, fencing होती है वहाँ पे, right? So he was standing there and watching two men, young men. They were dressed in white uniform and they were playing tennis. I like the game. He hums. Hums means very slow sound, murmuring sound. He was saying that I like this game. मुझे मजा आ रहा है देखने में. Content to watch it. See, he was only satisfied watching the game and standing behind the fence. I go inside when no one is around. See, he has already visited inside. He used to go inside when nobody is there around. He admits. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. And what he was doing there, whenever he went inside, he used to swing there. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes. That looks strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. Now Sahib was also wearing tennis shoes. Somebody must have given him, right? Used shoes. That was looking quite strange because his shirt was discolored. Discolored means जिसका color फेड हो गया हो, एंड शॉर्ट्स पहने थे, एंड उसके ऊपर ही हैड वॉर्न टेनिस शूज. Someone gave them to me, he says in the manner of an explanation. He was trying to explain the author that these shoes are given to me by someone. The fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them. Now, what was the fact? That some rich boy must have thrown away these shoes because there was a hole in one of the shoe. So he must have thrown it, and this boy Sahib was wearing it happily because उसके पास तो कभी shoes थे ही नहीं. So how can he refuse to wear them? And that rich boy who had refused to wear them because there was a hole. Now this such kind of shoes didn't bother him. साहिब को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता था ये shoes पहनने से. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. This is the fact, right? He has always walked barefoot. थ्रू आउट हिज लाइफ उसने कभी कुछ पहना ही नहीं है. तो फॉर अ पर्सन हु हैज ऑलवेज वॉक्ड बेयर फुट, दिस शूज विथ अ होल इज ऑल्सो अ ड्रीम कम ट्रू. उसके लिए तो ये ड्रीम कम ट्रू था कि हाँ, ही वॉज वेरिंग एटलीस्ट शूज. But the game he is watching so intently is out of his reach. But the game, tennis game, which he was watching from standing outside, that was out of his reach. He was never in his life he will be able to make this dream come true. This morning, Sahib is on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. Now, this morning, today, when author saw him, he was going to the milk booth, and in his hand there was a steel canister, a tin steel container, right? And what he said, I now work in a tea stall down the road, he says, pointing in the distance. Now he said that nowadays he is not trying to find anything in the garbage, rag picking nahi kar raha hai. Nowadays he is working in a tea stall. He has started doing some other job, and he is showing the place where he is working. I am paid 800 rupees and all my meals. See, he was saying this proudly. He was paid 800 rupees per month, right? And all my meals means lunch and dinner, whatever it is. Does he like this job? I ask. The author is trying to ask herself. अपने आप को ही पूछ रहे कि इज ही हैप्पी डूइंग दिस जॉब. ही इज गेटिंग फूड फॉर 2 times. He is getting even salary 800 rupees. His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. What the author was trying to get the answer was कि is he happy doing this job? So the author felt that no, he is not quite happy because his face has lost the carefree look. Earlier, when he used to roam about on the streets, he was so happy. Carefree look was there on his face. Sahib Alam, his name, the Lord of Universe, like actually his face was like that, as happy like a king, right? The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag. Now the steel canister, वो जो container था, small box of metal, that seemed heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. Earlier he used to carry the plastic bag in which he used to pick up the things from the garbage. So that seemed lighter than this canister. Actually, what is heavier? The plastic bag was heavier, but right now he felt that the steel canister was heavier. The bag was his, that plastic bag was his own. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. This is the difference. Very important that the bag, right now he is carrying the canister, which is owned by the tea shop owner, right? Whereas the bag, plastic bag which he used to carry was his own. वो खुद का मालिक था when he was a rag picker. But now he is doing a job, and now he is an employee, right? A worker in the tea shop. So this canister seems to him heavier than the plastic bag. Sahib is no longer his own master. Although his name is Sahib, but he is no longer his own master. When he was a rag picker, he was his own master. But once he has started his job, now he is no longer his own master. He cannot do whatever he want to. He cannot run about with his friends. He cannot do all the masti he used to do. Now he has to work as per the instructions given by the owner. So here we come to an end of the first story. The first story ends here. The second is I want to drive a car, which will be discussed in the next lecture. You try to get the answers. I hope you all have got the textbook by this time. You must have bought it, and if you haven't bought, you can go and buy it now because shops are open now, so that you can get the answers, start solving the question answers, and if you have any queries, you can ask me.